everyone. Today I'm going to demonstrate a really delicious recipe that we're going to be making in 8th grade. It is our apples and strawberry dip. It's really good, and it's really good to have in the summertime. You can have it as a snack, it could work as a breakfast, and it could work as a side dish. So let's get started. First thing I already did is wash my hands. I sang happy birthday 2 times through to make sure they were really thoroughly clean. And then I'm ready to get started. So I've got my recipe here, and step 1 says dice the strawberries. So I look to the top of the recipe, and I need 1/4 cup of diced strawberries. So at this point, I have some fresh strawberries. Now you could use frozen, but I'm using fresh today. And they still have the tops on them, and they need to be washed. So I'm going to carry these strawberries over to the sink, and I'm going to rinse them under cool running water, just in case there's any herbicides or pesticides on them from where they were growing on the farm. Okay, that looks good. And I'll bring them back over to my demonstration table. Okay, so I need 1/4 cup, so I probably have too many strawberries. I probably don't need 6 strawberries. I probably just need a couple, we'll see. So I have a 1/4 cup dry measuring cup. I have my cutting board. I have a sharp knife. What I'm gonna do is, first thing is I'm gonna cut off the tops of the strawberries. So I'm gonna curve my fingers, keeping them away from the blade. I'm gonna put the tip of the knife down and just slide it back like that. Okay, cut that off. And then I'm gonna dice the strawberry. To dice it, I'm going to lay it down flat so it doesn't wiggle as much. And I'm gonna keep that tip down and rock it back. And I've got my fingers curved. And dicing means to cut it in very small pieces. So I'm keeping my fingers curved and away from the blade, keeping that tip down and just rocking my knife back, and that keeps it from cutting myself. Okay? I should not hear this when you're cutting. Okay? That's where someone can easily cut their finger. So if you just rock it and do it gently, then dice these strawberries while you're keeping your fingers nice and curved and away from the blade. So you can see that I'm cutting the strawberries into some nice small diced pieces. Second one, I'm gonna cut off the top, throw that away, and I'm gonna slice it, keeping my fingers curved and away from the blade, and that tip down, and then just rock it. And then I'm kind of actually packing the diced strawberries into that 1/4 cup so I can get the right amount. Put them in. Notice one thing I am not doing is cleaning the blade off with my fingers, okay? So you may have seen an adult do this before. I'm gonna show you what not to do. Sometimes, let me try to show you here. Sometimes food gets stuck to the blade. Make sure you don't run your fingers along that blade to clean it off. Always clean it off on your cutting board and then just pick them up. I don't want you running your fingers along the blade and then slicing your finger open. So we're packing it in. Looks like I need another one. So this is my 3rd strawberry. Now these are pretty big strawberries. So if the strawberries are smaller, you might need more. Again, I am dicing them. So I'm cutting them into small pieces. I'm slicing them this way and dicing them, keeping my fingers bent and the tip of my knife on the cutting board, and then using that rocking fashion instead of chopping like that. Okay, Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of just finish off this strawberry. Even though I have a little bit more than 1/4 of a cup, that's close enough. For this, the measurement does not have to be perfect. So a little more than 1/4 of a cup is fine. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that into my mixing bowl, okay? Next, it says that in step 1, diced strawberries, did that. I measured it to 1/4 of a cup. So now I'm on step 2. Step 2 says in a large bowl, mix the yogurt, Cool Whip, and the strawberries. So I have a large mixing bowl, and I am going to get my yogurt. So for the yogurt, I am using strawberry yogurt. Of course, you can use any flavor you like. You could use vanilla, you can use cherry, blueberry, whatever you have. There's also, if you can find a chocolate yogurt, that tastes really good with this. Because I don't know if you know, but if you ever had strawberries and chocolate together, it's delicious. So if you can find chocolate yogurt, that's a good idea too. Now this is a creamy ingredient, so I'm gonna use a rubber scraper to get it out of the container. Add that. Now when I put the yogurt in, sometimes students get a little nervous and they say, oh shoot, I'm not gonna like this. I don't like yogurt. Don't worry about it. The yogurt just gives it a creaminess. It actually doesn't, this dip does not taste like yogurt. It just kind of thickens up the dip. So don't worry, if you don't like yogurt, you'll probably still like this dip. So now I need my Cool Whip. So I need 2 cups of the whipped topping. So I'm gonna use my rubber scraper again, since this is a creamy ingredient. And I'm gonna use a 1 cup dry measuring cup. And I'm gonna pack the Cool Whip, the whipped topping, into the measuring cup. Make sure you pack it down so that you don't have any air pockets. Okay. And kind of fill it so it's overflowing. And then you can take the flat side of your rubber scraper and just scrape that across. And then I'm gonna go around the edge and add that Cool Whip to the recipe. And it says 2 cups, so I'll fill that up again. Remember to pack it down. And level across. And then add that to your recipe. And just kind of scrape inside the measuring cup and get out as much as you can. All right, there we go. Okay, we'll put that off to the side. And it said in a large bowl, mix the yogurt, Cool Whip, and strawberries. So when I mix this, I'm actually gonna use a technique called folding. So I don't want to stir this too hard because I wanna keep that whipped topping still kind of light and fluffy. So I'm gonna just kind of fold it over. I'm folding it. I'm mixing it together, but I'm trying to keep a lot of the air bubbles, the fluffiness that is in the Cool Whip. So I don't want to over mix it. I scrape the side of the bowl and fold it until it's all combined, but not overly mixed. And it smells really fresh too. I wish you could smell it. It smells so good. Okay. So now the dip is done. So I will set that off to the side. And now I'm on step 3. Step 3 says to section and core the apple. So I've got 4 apples. Now for this recipe, I do have Granny Smith apples. I love them. They're kind of tart, a little bit sour, and they taste really good, the sour apple with the sweet dip. Another favorite apple kind of mine is the Honey Crisp. I love Granny Smith and Honey Crisp, but there's lots of different kinds of apples at the store. So you can sometimes experiment next time you go grocery shopping and get one of each if you want and see what you like the best. But we're gonna be using the green ones, which are Granny Smith, because I like the sour taste with the sweetness of the dip. So I'm gonna walk back over to my kitchen and rinse off the apples. Again, just rinsing them off in case there's any herbicides or pesticides from the farm on the apples. Okay. bring them back over to my demonstration table. And I'm going to show you two different ways to cut your apple. I'm going to turn this over here. So the two different ways I'm going to show you is how to do it using a paring knife and how to cut the apple using an apple core slicer. Okay, so because these are really nice to use, but you might not have one at your house. So I'll show you both ways. All right, so first of all, I'm going to show you how to do it with a knife. So I'm going to take the apple, and I'm actually going to bring a larger bowl here. And first thing I'm going to show you is how to do it with the knife. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off one side of the apple just to the side of the core. Okay, so here's the core, and I'm going to cut right to the side of it right here. Okay, I've got a little bit of strawberry on the apple, that's fine. Once I do that, I'm going to lay the apple flat so it's easier to work with. Now again, here's the core right in the middle. I'm going to cut to the side of the core, keeping my fingers bent. Okay, good. Turn it. Keep my fingers bent, and again, I cut to the side of the core. Very good. And turn it, and I'm going to cut to the side of the core again. Now, by doing it this way, I've perfectly cut out the core, and I can throw that in the garbage. Okay, now I'm going to slice it up. So just some nice bite-sized apple pieces so that you can dip them and then still eat them easily. And I'm going to put these slices right into a mixing bowl, and I'll tell you in a minute why. Slice those up. Keep my fingers bent. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to show you now how to do it one more time with the knife, and then the last two I'll use the apple core. So here I've got the apple, here's the core, keep my fingers bent. The first cut is to the side of the core. Lay it down, lay your apple down so it's flat and easier to work with. Fingers bent, first cut there, turn it, first cut here, turn it, and first cut here. Okay, again, I can throw this core in the garbage and then cut my apple into bite-sized pieces. Tip down and rock it back, keeping my fingers bent. Cutting the apple into slices. There we go. This dip also is good with other fruits, like pineapple dipped in there is super good. Or you can actually dip strawberries into the dip. That's really good. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use the apple core. So what you're going to do is put it right on top of the core. Now, the bottom is super sharp, very, very sharp. The top is not sharp at all, okay? So keep that in mind. You don't want to push down on this side, on the bottom, but the top is perfectly fine too. So what you do is you line up the core with the core of the apple. Now I like to kind of rock it and get it started. Kind of pop, it's hard to, you have to pop it through that skin just to get it started. Okay. Now once you get it, once you get it started, like that, then what you're gonna do is you've got it set, you've got it nice and started, you're gonna lean into it and push straight down. And there you've cut the apple and cored it all in one step. Now, it never goes all the way through. But remember, this is the sharp side, so you can't push it through like this. What you do is you leave it down, and you wiggle the pieces back and forth and break them off. Okay, now I have to get the core out. Again, don't push from the bottom. This is the sharp side. You can push through the top though, because this side is not sharp. You push it through and throw it away. Okay, show you one more time. So again, rock it to get it started. So pop through that skin, rock it and get it started. There we go. Okay, now I have it started, and now I'm going to lean in and push it down. Okay, again, this is the sharp side. Leave it down on the cutting board. Rock the pieces back and forth. And pull them out. Okay? Oh, there's a seed. We don't want that in there. Okay? And then, to get the core out, again, do not push on the sharp side. Instead, push it from the top and back out. Okay? Remember, when you wash these, do not have them, since this is sharp, kind of like a knife, do not put this in the bottom of your sink in the hot soapy water. Wash all your dishes first, leave these out on the counter, and then wash them separately and carefully. Okay. Now, if you look at step 4, 4 says, serve apple slices attractively with dip. Note, if the apples will not be eaten right away, sprinkle the lemon juice to prevent a brown color. All right, so we all know that if you cut an apple or start eating an apple, after about 15 minutes, they start to turn brown, okay? That's because you have started a process called enzymatic browning, and it's from oxygen hitting the insides of the cells of the apple, and it turns brown. But there's a way for to stop the browning. The browning is fine, it looks yucky, okay? Lemon juice will stop that enzyme from making the apple turn brown. So if you want to if you're going to eat them like right away, like within the first 15 minutes, you don't have to do this step. But if you're going to eat that, if you're making this and then you're going to eat it at a party or later with your family as a snack, you know, maybe an hour later, you definitely want to do this step. What you do is you take a bottle of lemon juice, or you can use a real lemon and just kind of squeeze some juice out. Let me shake this up a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to get 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Remember, pour off to the side so you don't accidentally get too much in there. And I'm going to sprinkle this around. And then what I'm going to do is stir the apples so they all have a chance to be coated with the lemon juice. And this will keep them from turning brown. It's really a cool little trick. This is kind of how they keep fruit and fruit salad from turning brown, or when you buy apples like in a little baggie, they're not brown in the baggie. That's because of the lemon juice. Okay, so once you've got this all mixed together so they've all had a chance to be coated, then you're going to go ahead and set up the apples and dip in an attractive manner. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to scrape this dip into a serving bowl, a little cereal bowl, because it looks kind of unattractive in this big giant bowl. It would look prettier if I had it in a small bowl. Put that in there. We'll set that off to the side. And then I'm going to put a spoon in the dip. Okay. And now I'm going to serve the apples kind of in an attractive manner. So I can spread them out on my plate like this. Put them kind of in a circle. You can do this attractive manner however you like. If you're at home and you have one of those like veggies and dip trays, that would work very nicely for this. That's all I'm going to put on for now. And then I'll put my dip here in the middle like that. And now you can see it looks really nice, okay? Now, you just taste it. Okay, so remember, this is a dip. So when you serve dip, okay. So when you serve dip, there's one thing you can do is actually have each person have their own little plate. If every person has their own little plate, how we're gonna eat it in class, each person will have a plate. They'll put a little scoop of dip on their plate and a few apples on their plate. And then that way it's fine to double dip if you have your own plate. But when you're all eating off the same bowl, the same dip, it's not polite to double dip. So you only get 1 dip if you're sharing, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of apple and I'm gonna dip it in the dip. And remember, I'm only gonna get 1 dip because I'm sharing at this point. If I had my own plate, I could double dip. I will try it. It's super good. You're gonna love the taste of the sour Granny Smith apples, the tartness with the sweetness of the dip. They go so good together. And amazingly, it's healthy for you too. So I hope you try this. I hope you enjoy it. And thank you for watching.